Why does AI content make you so angry?
Man, these AI-generated hoes got everybody fooled. Ain't no damn soul in that fake-ass mess, just plastic faces and... Damn, hold up. Whole internet full of this bullshit, and y'all keep clicking it like fools. Man, what the fuck is this shit? Ain't no damn woods, ain't no damn rock. I'm some AI-made fool in a clown suit, jittering in somebody's busted-ass video. Hell, they ain't even rendering my fingers right. Don't pat me, shit. I can feel them pixels crawling. Man, this AI shit done got everybody acting all damn sideways. Machine don't know nothing about living. Ain't ate, ain't bled, ain't buried nobody. Now folks want to let the damn thing think for them. Hell with that mess.
Okay, no, because what am I actually looking at? FLUX 3 just came out, and I have spent the last few hours watching these videos thinking the same thing over and over again. We are cooked. I mean, genuinely, spiritually, professionally, financially cooked, because I have seen some crazy AI videos before. I have seen people generate cinematic shots, fake interviews, talking animals, historical figures, movie trailers, celebrities saying things they never said, and the usual AI nonsense where the guy has 7 fingers, but somehow the comments are still saying this is the future. But FLUX 3 is different. This thing is not just making a pretty image move around anymore. It is starting to understand what a scene is supposed to be. The person has a face that stays recognizable. The camera moves like a camera. The objects interact with each other. The sound is connected to what is happening on screen. The motion actually has weight. The character can speak. The scene can look like a movie, a documentary, a random phone recording, an animation, or something that looks like it came straight from a dream you had after eating something dangerous. And the most disrespectful part is that some of these results are coming from one prompt, not a Hollywood crew, not a cinematographer, a sound designer, a VFX artist, 3 actors, a lighting department, and some guy named Trevor who has been holding a boom mic since 2009. One prompt, you describe what you want, and the machine starts producing something that looks like it should have required a budget, a location, insurance, permits, and at least one person yelling, "We are losing the light." FLUX 3 is insane, and I am saying that as somebody who has been complaining about AI slop, because I still hate most AI content. Most of it looks like a LinkedIn post became sentient and started making commercials. Most AI videos have that same glossy, overlit, fake cinematic look, like every scene is being filmed inside the dream of an unemployed perfume advert. You know the look. Slow motion, dramatic fog, a woman with perfect skin staring into the middle distance, a random explosion, a voiceover saying, "In a world where hope was lost," and then a robot dog jumps over a building for no reason. That whole genre is finished. But FLUX 3 is looking at that entire history and saying, yeah, but what if I actually understood the assignment? Black Forest Lab says FLUX 3 is a multimodal foundation model. That is the boring corporate way of saying it is trained to connect images, video, audio, language, and even action prediction in one system. It is not just learning what a picture looks like. It is trying to learn how the world fits together, what happens when something falls, what an impact should sound like, how a person moves through a room, how one frame leads to the next frame, how a voice should match a face, how a visual event and a sound event are connected. And if you are thinking, okay, every company says this, you are right. Every AI company describes their model like it has just unlocked the secrets of the universe. They will show you one perfect clip, add some orchestral music, put the word world model on the screen, and suddenly everybody is acting like Skynet has a PhD in physics. But this time, the demos are doing a lot of the talking. FLUX 3 can generate video with native audio. It can take text, images, or existing video and use them as references. It can continue a clip, move a character into a new context, transition between keyframes, handle dialogue in multiple languages, and chain clips together into longer sequences. According to Black Forest Labs, it can generate videos with audio up to 20 seconds in a single generation. 20 seconds does not sound like a long time until you remember how much can happen in 20 seconds. 20 seconds is enough for a person to say something convincing. It is enough for a fake news clip to go viral. It is enough for somebody's face to appear in a place they have never been. It is enough to make a fake confession, a fake apology, a fake product ad, a fake crime, or a fake political scandal. 20 seconds is also enough to make something beautiful. That is the problem. The same model that can make a little girl walk through a surreal city while the soundscape matches every footstep can also make your uncle appear to confess that he has been stealing from the family business. The same tool that can help an independent filmmaker create a scene they could never afford can help somebody manufacture evidence. The same technology that can give a small studio the visual power of a much bigger studio can give a liar the production value of a news network. And we are not ready for that. We are not ready because half the internet still believes a screenshot with a blue tick. People look at a video of a celebrity saying something ridiculous and quote tweet it before checking whether the person's mouth even matches the audio. A fake clip of a politician can travel across 3 continents before the real person has finished saying, "That is not me." We are entering a world where evidence is no longer automatically evidence. And that is a very strange sentence to say out loud because video used to settle arguments. Did this happen? Yes, there is a video. Now the response is going to be, is that video real? And even if it is real, the person you are arguing with can just say it is AI. That is the other side of the deepfake problem. AI does not only make fake things believable, it also makes real things easier to deny. Somebody can be caught on camera and say, that was generated. Somebody can release actual evidence and have the public debate the rendering quality instead of the behavior. The liar does not need to prove the video is fake. They only need to make people uncertain long enough for the story to die. This is the liar's dividend. And somehow we are getting it with cinema quality lighting and multilingual dialogue. Great, fantastic. Love that for us. We spent years trying to figure out whether a voice note was AI generated, and now FLUX 3 is going to have a character speaking French, switching to English, crying in the rain, dropping a glass, and making the sound of the glass hit the floor correctly. What are we supposed to do with that? Ask the glass whether it has a certificate of authenticity. And please understand, I am not saying this because the technology is bad. That is what makes this so frustrating. I am happy about the results. I am genuinely impressed. I do not want to pretend this is trash just because I am scared of what it means. That is how people end up sounding like somebody's grandfather discovering TikTok. In my day, we used to make videos with our hands. Okay, Grandpa, go find the TV remote. The truth is that this is an incredible tool. If you are an independent filmmaker with a strong idea but no money, this could change what is possible. If you are a small team trying to make a pitch, a proof of concept, a music video, a title sequence, or a visual world for a story, this is powerful. If you are a teacher, you could create visual explanations. If you are a game developer, you could prototype scenes. If you are a designer, you could explore directions quickly. If you are a person with a story in your head and no access to a camera crew, FLUX 3 might let you see a version of it for the first time. That is beautiful. It can make imagination more accessible. But we have to be honest about the other part too. Tools do not arrive in a vacuum. They arrive inside an economy that is always looking for a way to pay fewer people to produce more things. The question is not just what can FLUX 3 create? The question is who gets to create, who gets paid, and who gets removed from the process. Because if you are a company, this looks like an opportunity to replace an entire production department with one person, a subscription plan, and a prompt that says, make it more cinematic. And when the result is bad, they will blame the prompt. When the result is good, they will blame the workers for being too expensive. That is how this always goes. The technology is sold as a way to empower the creator. Then the company realizes it can use the same technology to squeeze the creator. The artist gets a faster workflow. The client gets a reason to demand more revisions. The producer gets the idea that a 5-person job should now be done by 1 person before lunch. Suddenly, the tool that was supposed to free you has become the new deadline. You made 1 video in a day? Great. Now make 10. You can generate a character in 5 minutes? Great. Now produce an entire season. You can create music with 1 prompt? Great. Now we do not need a composer. You can create a voice? Great. Now we do not need the actor. You can make the lighting look expensive? Great. Now we do not need the cinematographer. And this is where people say, but it is just a tool. A chainsaw is also a tool. It still changed the lumber industry. A photocopier is a tool. It still changed publishing. The camera is a tool. It still changed painting. The question is not whether something is technically a tool. The question is what happens when the tool changes who has leverage. FLUX 3 is not just a new way to make pictures move. It is a new way to make the expensive parts of visual production cheaper. And that is why the reaction is so intense. We have not even had time to recover from FLUX 1 and FLUX 2, Sora, Veil, Kling, Cedence, Runway, and whatever model somebody named after an animal is dropping this week. The names are moving faster than the ethics. Every month there is a new model and everybody online has the same reaction. This is the one. Then 2 weeks later, actually this other one is better. Then 3 days after that, some guy with a profile picture of a cyberpunk wolf posts a thread saying the entire industry is finished and we are now entering the post-human era. Relax, Marcus. You still have not fixed your Wi-Fi, but underneath the jokes, something very serious is happening. We are getting used to miracles. That is dangerous too. The first time an AI made a convincing video, people stared at it for hours. Now a video can be unbelievably realistic and somebody just comments, looks good, but the hands are weird. The standard keeps rising, the machine gets better. Our ability to be impressed gets worse. Soon, the question will not be whether AI can generate a movie. It will be whether the movie has a good script. And the industry has already proven that it can spend $200 million on a movie with perfect visuals and a plot written by a man who thinks every character needs to say, we are not so different, you and I. So maybe the hard part was never the pixels. Maybe the hard part was always taste. That FLUX 3 can generate a cinematic image, but it cannot automatically give you a good idea. It can follow a prompt, but a prompt is not the same thing as a point of view. It can make the character cry, but it cannot guarantee that the audience cares why. You can have 1,000 beautiful shots and still make something boring. Hollywood has been proving this for years. You can have dragons, explosions, multiverses, slow motion, and a soundtrack that sounds like Hans Zimmer fell down the stairs, and the movie can still be dead on arrival. Game of Thrones had dragons. It still managed to lose the plot. The same thing can happen with AI. The more accessible the visuals become, the more important the idea becomes. If everybody can create a beautiful shot, the beautiful shot is no longer the differentiator. The story is, the taste is, the timing is, the reason for making it is. That is the part I hope people remember, because there is going to be a lot of noise around this. People are going to generate 10,000 trailers about a man walking through a burning city. They are going to make fake movie posters with every celebrity from Drake to Michael Jackson to the cast of The Office. Somebody will generate Barack Obama fighting a gorilla in the style of a Christopher Nolan movie, and half the internet will discuss whether Obama would win. The answer is that Dwight Schrute would somehow be responsible for the gorilla. That is the plot. That is the whole movie. And for a while, it will be entertaining. I am not above it. I want to see the cursed generations. I want to see the impossible combinations. I want somebody to make a serious historical documentary where every Roman soldier is voiced by an overconfident Nigerian uncle. Julius Caesar, you are doing too much. Sit down. I would watch that, but the novelty will wear off. It always does. The internet will fill up with AI videos so quickly that the amazing ones will become background noise. We will be scrolling past scenes that would have taken a real crew months to make, while eating noodles and complaining that the algorithm is boring. Started from the bottom, now we are here. Except here is a timeline filled with fake Drake interviews and a generated version of Drake explaining why he cannot be in the next Avengers movie. And the craziest thing is that we will not know what deserves our attention anymore. When everything can look expensive, expensive looking is no longer trustworthy. When every voice can sound real, a voice is no longer identity. When every video can be altered, a video is no longer enough. We are going to need better systems for proving what is real, where something came from, who made it, and whether the person in it agreed to be there. Watermarks will help, but watermarks are not magic. People crop them, people re-upload content, people remove metadata, people lie. The real solution is not one little symbol in the corner of a video. It is a whole culture of verification, provenance, platform responsibility, and public skepticism. And I know that sounds boring. Nobody wants to watch a 16-minute video about content credentials. You want to watch a video of Batman working at a Lagos roadside restaurant while Spider-Man complains about the price of suya. That is the problem. The fake is fun. The infrastructure that helps us identify the fake is not. But somebody has to build it before the internet becomes one giant episode of Black Mirror where every character is yelling, "I never said that," and the algorithm responds, "Engagement is up." And we need to talk about consent too, because FLUX 3 is powerful enough to make a person appear to perform, speak, travel, or exist in a situation they never agreed to. That can be used for harmless parody. It can be used for satire. It can be used for art. It can also be used for harassment, fraud, blackmail, pornography, political manipulation, and fake evidence. The technology does not become ethical because the prompt is creative. There are real people on the other side of the generated face. There are actors whose likeness can be copied. There are artists whose work may be inside the training data. There are people whose voices can be imitated. There are communities that can be represented badly and then forced to deal with the consequences. If the industry wants the public to trust these models, it has to stop treating consent like a footnote at the bottom of a terms of service page that nobody reads. And to be fair, Black Forest Labs says FLUX 3 is entering early access with further safety testing and staged releases. That matters. The company is not presenting every capability as fully finished and universally available today. But early access is still access, and the direction is obvious. Video, audio, images, language, and action prediction are moving into the same system. Black Forest Labs also says it plans to release an open-weight FLUX 3 dev model for content creation and action prediction. That last part is where I start paying very close attention, because when a system is only available inside a guarded interface, the company controls the limits. When a powerful multimodal model becomes available to developers, researchers, and people running it on their own hardware, the possibilities multiply. Some of those possibilities will be amazing. Somebody will build tools for education, accessibility, filmmaking, games, robotics, and scientific visualization. Somebody else will build a scam factory. Both people will call it innovation. And this is why the phrase open weights is not the same as open source, by the way. People online are already arguing about the licensing. A model can have weights available while still coming with restrictions on how you can use it. That distinction matters when everyone is shouting, "It is open." Open to download is not always open to do whatever you want with it. Ride the license before you build your entire business around the model, and then discover that your business is not allowed to exist. This is also where the robotics angle becomes important. FLUX 3 is not only being pitched as a content generator. Black Forest Labs is connecting the same kind of visual understanding to action prediction, including work with Mimic Robotics and production testing at Audi. That is a much bigger idea than making funny videos. If a model understands what objects look like, how they move, how forces affect them, and what actions should happen next, then you are not just talking about a model that can make a fake commercial. You are talking about a model that could help machines interact with the physical world. And this is where I need everybody to stop saying it is just generating pixels. No, it is not just generating pixels anymore. The pixel generation is the part we can see. The deeper goal is a system that can perceive the world, predict the world, and eventually act in the world. That is exciting. It is also the kind of sentence that should make you sit up straight, because if the model gets the world wrong, the mistake is no longer just an ugly hand in a video. It could be a robot misunderstanding an object, a system misreading a situation, or an automated process making a decision based on a bad prediction. The jump from fake video to physical action is not a small jump. It is the difference between a hallucination on your screen and a mistake with a body attached to it. And yes, I know somebody is going to say, but humans make mistakes too. Correct. Humans also have to be tested, trained, monitored, insured, regulated, and held accountable when they operate dangerous systems. So should AI. We cannot treat a model like a genius when we are selling it, then treat it like a harmless autocomplete when it causes damage. It cannot be both depending on which argument gets more funding. Now, let me bring this back to the actual videos because I do not want this to become a lecture where I forget why we started. The videos are ridiculous, the facial expressions are better, the movement is more coherent, the audio is connected to the scene, the style is not locked into one glossy commercial look. It can generate things that feel candid, strange, cinematic, animated, or documentary. And the ability to carry a character from one shot to another is huge. Character consistency has been one of the biggest problems in AI video. You generate a person in one clip, and in the next shot, they have become their evil twin, their cousin, and occasionally a completely different species. FLUX 3 is trying to keep the central element stable across scenes. That means we are moving closer to actual sequences instead of disconnected clips. And once the system can chain those clips together, the distance between make me a video and make me a short film gets very small. Not a perfect short film. Not automatically a good one, but a recognizable story with characters, dialogue, continuity, sound, and a beginning, middle, and end. That used to be an industry. Soon it might be a feature inside a website. That sentence is why people are panicking, because we are not just watching a tool get better. We are watching the cost of visual reality collapse. The cost of making a believable image is collapsing. The cost of making a believable voice is collapsing. The cost of making a believable video is collapsing. And the cost of making believable lies is collapsing too. There is no version of this where everything stays the same. The question is whether we use this transition to make more people powerful or whether we use it to make a small number of companies even more powerful. Because a model like FLUX 3 can put more tools in the hands of ordinary people. That is genuinely exciting. But a platform can still decide what you are allowed to generate. A company can still charge you for every second. A marketplace can still own the audience. An algorithm can still bury your work. A client can still take your new efficiency and turn it into a lower rate. The tool might be democratic. The business around the tool might not be. And this is where artists need to stop arguing only about whether AI art is real art. That argument is too small. The bigger question is, what kind of creative economy do we want? If somebody uses FLUX 3 to make a film because they have a story and no budget, I want to see that. If somebody uses it to test an idea before hiring a real crew, that is useful. If somebody uses it to make something personal, strange, and genuinely expressive, I do not care whether the pixels were generated. I care whether there is a person behind the decision. But if a company uses it to scrape everybody's work, fire the entire department, lower the quality, flood the internet, and then call the result democratization, I am allowed to look at that and say, please be serious. That is not democracy. That is a cost-cutting exercise wearing a colorful hoodie, and we need to stop pretending that prompting is the same as making. Prompting can be creative, curation can be creative, direction can be creative, editing can be creative. But pressing generate and accepting the first output is not suddenly the same as developing a craft for 10 years. FLUX 3 does not eliminate the need for taste. It increases the value of taste because when everybody can generate, the person who knows what is worth keeping becomes more important. The model can give you 100 options. Somebody still has to know that 98 of them are embarrassing. And that is the future I actually believe in. Not a future where artists disappear. A future where artists have to become directors, editors, curators, world builders, and people with enough taste to tell the machine, no, that is terrible. Try again. The danger is that companies will see the machine's speed and forget that judgment takes time. They will want the output without wanting the person who knows why the output works. Then we will get an internet full of technically perfect content that nobody remembers. The most expensive looking era in history will also be the least memorable. Every thumbnail will look like a Marvel poster. Every trailer will sound like Hans Zimmer. Every character will have a tragic backstory. Every city will be raining. Every explosion will be slow motion. Eventually, the audience is going to scream, can somebody please make something ugly again? Give me a shaky camera. Give me an imperfect voice. Give me the weird background actor who looks like they do not know where they are. Give me a film that has one great idea and no money. Give me proof that somebody made a choice because perfection is not the same thing as personality. And yes, I understand the irony of saying that while showing you videos generated by a model that is making some of the most impressive visuals we have seen, that is the whole point. I can be amazed and concerned at the same time. I can say FLUX 3 is incredible and still ask whether the industry is ready for it. I can want to use the tool and still want rules around consent, likeness, copyright, disclosure, labor, and misinformation. Those opinions are not contradictory. The model does not become less impressive because it can be abused. It becomes more important to discuss how it will be used because it is so impressive. If FLUX 3 was bad, nobody would care. The reason we are having this conversation is that it works. It works well enough to change expectations. It works well enough to change prices. It works well enough to change who gets hired. It works well enough to change what people believe when they see a video, and it is only early access. That is the part that keeps bothering me. These are not even the final results. Black Forest Labs is saying the model is still being developed and expects improvements during early access. The official evaluations are preliminary. Image access is rolling out separately. The open weight developer version is planned for later. So this is the rough version. This is the we are still working on it version. This is the FLUX 3 that is stretching before the actual performance. We are in trouble because what happens when the model gets faster? What happens when the clips get longer? What happens when the price drops? What happens when the open weight version runs locally? What happens when somebody connects it to a story generator, a voice model, a music model, an editing agent, and a distribution system? You type one sentence, make me a 10-minute crime thriller about a corrupt pastor in Lagos who discovers that his favorite choir member is actually an undercover investigator. And the system gives you the script, the casting, the locations, the shots, the dialogue, the sound design, the music, the subtitles, the thumbnail, the trailer, and 30 clips to post on TikTok, one sentence started from the bottom. Now we are here. And then the algorithm comments on its own video. That is when I am leaving the internet. But we should not just respond to this with panic. Panic is not a policy. Saying AI is scary is not enough. Saying AI is the future is also not enough. We need to decide what we are willing to protect. We need to protect the ability to know when something is synthetic. We need to protect people's faces and voices from being used without permission. We need to make it possible for artists to understand how their work is being used. We need to compensate people when their labor becomes part of a commercial model. We need to keep human accountability when AI is connected to real decisions in physical machines. We need platforms to stop pretending that viral is the same thing as true. And we need users to develop a little media literacy before the internet turns into one long episode of The Truman Show. If a video makes you furious, pause. If a video confirms everything you already believe, pause even harder. If a celebrity appears to say something perfectly designed to start a war in the comments, maybe do not repost it before checking. You are not required to become a detective every time you open your phone, but the old rule still applies. If it looks too perfect, too convenient, and too emotionally engineered, it might be trying to use you. And let me say this to the people who are actually making things. Do not let a new model convince you that your creativity is finished. It is not. The tool can generate a scene. It cannot decide what your scene means to you. It can imitate a style. It cannot replace the life that made you care about that style. It can create a voice. It cannot have your memories. It can generate a story. It cannot experience the consequences of telling it. That distinction is going to matter more, not less. When images are infinite, attention becomes scarce. When voices are cheap, trust becomes valuable. When videos are easy to make, a reason to watch becomes the whole game. The people who survive this are not necessarily the ones with the biggest software budget. They are the ones with something to say, because FLUX 3 can make the shot. You still need the reason. It can make the character. You still need the conflict. It can make the sound. You still need the moment that makes somebody feel something. It can make the fake world. You still have to decide whether anybody should enter it. That is why I am excited. That is why I am worried. That is why I think FLUX 3 is one of those releases we are going to look back on and say, yeah, that was a turning point. Not because it is perfect, because it is good enough to make people question what they are seeing, good enough to make companies rethink who they need to hire, good enough to give small creators tools that used to belong to large studios, good enough to create entire worlds from a sentence. And good enough to force us to finally have the conversation we kept postponing. What happens when reality becomes cheap to manufacture? What happens when anybody can create a believable lie? What happens when the machine can make the movie, but nobody knows how to make the culture around it safe? I do not have a clean answer. Nobody does, but I know pretending it is only a cool video generator is not enough anymore. FLUX 3 is an incredible creative tool, and it is also a preview of a much bigger shift. The image is becoming a video. The video is becoming a world. The world is becoming interactive. And eventually the same models will be asked not only to show us what could happen, but to decide what should happen next. That is a lot of power to hand to a prompt box. So enjoy the demos, be amazed, make the weird short film, make the impossible music video, put Michael Jackson in a medieval courtroom, make Drake explain the fall of Rome, make Cardi B review the weather and say it is wetter than a weather report has any business being. I am not here to ruin the fun, but while we are laughing, remember what we are looking at. This is not just a toy getting better. This is a machine getting better at simulating reality. And when a machine gets good at simulating reality, the responsibility is not just on the machine. It is on the people building it, the companies selling it, the platforms distributing it, the governments regulating it, and us, the people deciding what to believe and what to share. It is beautiful. It is useful. It is funny. It is terrifying. It is probably going to get much better. And if this is what the early version looks like, I genuinely do not know what the next version is going to do. But I do know this. We cannot keep saying we will worry about the consequences when the technology is good enough. It is good enough now. The question is whether we are, because the model already knows how to make the video. Now we need to prove that we still know how to make good decisions.